Rune 21 of the Kalewala. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Kalewala, compiled by Elias Lönnrot. Translated by John Martin Crawford. Rune 21. Ilmarinen's Wedding Feast. Louhi, hostess of the Northland, ancient dame of Sariola, while at work within her dwelling, heard the whips crack on the fenlands, heard the rattle of the sledges, to the northward turned her glances, turned her vision to the sunlight, and her thoughts ran on as follow. Who are these in bright apparel on the banks of Pohja waters? Are they friends or hostile armies? Then the hostess of the Northland looked again and well considered, drew much nearer to examine, found they were not hostile armies, found that they were friends and suitors. In the midst was Ilmarinen, son-in-law to ancient Louhi. When the hostess of Pohjola saw the son-in-law approaching, she addressed the words that follow. I had thought the winds were raging, that the piles of wood were falling, thought the pebbles in commotion, or perchance the ocean roaring. Then I hastened nearer, nearer, drew still nearer and examined, found the winds were not in battle, found the piles of wood unshaken, found the ocean was not roaring, nor the pebbles in commotion, found my son-in-law was coming, with his heroes and attendants, heroes counted by the hundreds. Should you ask of me the question how I recognize the bridegroom mid the hosts of men and heroes, I should answer, I should tell you. As the hazel bush in copses, as the oak tree in the forest, as the moon among the planets, drives the groom a coal-black courser, running like the famished black dog, flying like the hungry raven, graceful as the lark at morning. Golden cuckoos, 6 in number, twitter on the birchen crossbow. There are 7 bluebirds singing on the racer's hame and collar. Noises hear they in the courtyard, on the highway hear the sledges. To the court comes Ilmarinen, with his bodyguard of heroes. In the midst the chosen suitor, not too far in front of others, not too far behind his fellows. Spake the hostess of Pohjola. Hie ye hither, men and heroes, haste, ye watchers, to the stables. There unhitch the suitor's stallion, lower well the racer's breastplate. There undo the straps and buckles, loosen well the shafts and traces, and conduct the suitor hither. Give my son-in-law good welcome. Ilmarinen turned his racer into Louhi's yard and stables, and descended from his snow sledge. Spake the hostess of Pohjola. Come, thou servant of my bidding, best of all my trusted servants. Take at once the bridegroom's courser, from the shafts adorned with silver, from the curving arch of willow. Lift the harness trimmed in copper, tie the white face to the manger, treat the suitor's steed with kindness, lead him carefully to shelter, by his soft and shining bridle, by his halter tipped with silver. Let him roll among the sand hills, on the bottom soft and even, on the borders of the snow banks, in the fields of milky color. Lead the hero's steed to water, lead him to the Pohja fountains, where the living streams are flowing, sweet as milk of human kindness, from the roots of silvery birches, underneath the shade of aspens. Feed the courser of the suitor on the sweetest corn and barley, on the summer wheat and clover, in the cauldron steeped in sweetness. Feed him at the golden manger, in the boxes lined with copper. At my manger richly furnished, in the warmest of the stables. Tie him with a silk-like halter to the golden rings and staples, to the hooks of purest silver, set in beams of birch and oak wood. Feed him on the hay the sweetest, feed him on the corn nutritious. Give the best my barns can furnish. Curry well the suitor's courser, with the currycomb of fishbone. Brush his hair with silken brushes, put his mane and tail in order. Cover well with flannel blankets, blankets wrought in gold and silver, buckles forged from shining copper. Come, ye small lads of the village, lead the suitor to my chambers. With your auburn locks uncovered, from your hands remove your mittens. See if ye can lead the hero through the door without his stooping. Lifting not the upper crossbar, lowering not the oaken threshold, moving not the birchen casings, great the hero who must enter. Ilmarinen is too stately, cannot enter through the portals, not the son-in-law and bridegroom, till the portals have been heightened. Taller by a head the suitor than the doorways of the mansion. Quick the servants of Pohjola tore away the upper crossbar, that his cap might not be lifted, made the oaken threshold lower, that the hero might not stumble, made the birchwood portals wider, opened full the door of welcome, easy entrance for the suitor. Speaks the hostess of the Northland, as the bridegroom freely passes through the doorway of her dwelling. Thanks are due to thee, O Ukko, that my son-in-law has entered. Let me now my halls examine, make the bridal chambers ready, finest linen on my tables, softest fur upon my benches, birchen flooring scrubbed to whiteness, all my rooms in perfect order. Then the hostess of Pohjola visited her spacious dwelling, did not recognize her chambers. Every room had been remodeled, changed by force of mighty magic. All the halls were newly burnished. Hedgehog bones were used for ceilings, bones of reindeer for foundations, bones of wolverine for door sills, for the crossbars bones of roebuck. Apple wood were all the rafters, alder wood the window casings, scales of trout adorned the windows, and the fires were set in flowers. All the seats were made of silver, all the floors of copper tiling. Gold adorned were all the tables, on the floor were silken mattings, every fireplace set in copper, every hearthstone cut from marble. On each shelf were colored sea-shells. Kalew's tree was their protection. To the courtroom came the hero, chosen suitor from Wainola. These the words of Ilmarinen: "Send, O Ukko, health and pleasure, to this ancient home and dwelling, to this mansion richly fashioned." Spake the hostess of Pohjola: "Let thy coming be auspicious to these halls of thee unworthy, to the home of thine affianced, to this dwelling lowly fashioned, mid the lindens and the aspens. Come ye maidens that should serve me, come ye fellows from the village, bring me fire upon the birch bark, light the faggots of the fir tree, that I may behold the bridegroom, chosen suitor of my daughter, fairy maiden of the rainbow, see the color of his eyeballs, whether they are blue or sable, see if they are warm and faithful." Quick the young lads from the village brought the fire upon the birch bark, brought it on the tips of pine wood, and the fire and smoke commingled roll and roar about the hero, blackening the suitor's visage, and the hostess speaks as follows: "Bring the fire upon a taper, on the waxen tapers bring it." Then the maidens did as bidden, quickly brought the lighted tapers, made the suitor's eyeballs glisten, made his cheeks look fresh and ruddy, made his eyes of sable color, sparkle like the foam of waters, like the reed grass on the margin, colored as the ocean jewels, iridescent as the rainbow. Come ye fellows of the hamlet, lead my son-in-law and hero to the highest seat at table, to the seat of greatest honor, with his back upon the blue wall, looking on my bounteous tables, facing all the guests of Northland. Then the hostess of Pohjola served her guests in great abundance, richest drinks and rarest viands. First of all she served the bridegroom on his platters honeyed biscuit, and the sweetest river salmon, seasoned butter, roasted bacon, all the dainties of Pohjola. Then the helpers served the others, filled the plates of all invited with the varied food of Northland. Spake the hostess of Pohjola: "Come ye maidens from the village, hither bring the beer in pitchers, in the urns with double handles, to the many guests ingathered, ere all others serve the bridegroom." Thereupon the merry maidens brought the beer in silver pitchers, from the copper-banded vessels, for the wedding guests assembled. And the beer, fermenting, sparkled on the beard of Ilmarinen, on the beards of many heroes. When the guests had all partaken of the wondrous beer of barley, spake the beer in merry accents through the tongues of the magicians, through the tongue of many a hero, through the tongue of Wainamoinen, famed to be the sweetest singer of the Northland bards and minstrels. These the words of the enchanter: "O thou beer of honeyed flavor, let us not imbibe in silence. Let some hero sing thy praises, sing thy worth in golden measures. Let the hostess start the singing, let the bridegroom sound thy virtues. Have our songs thus quickly vanished, have our joyful tongues grown silent? Evil then has been the brewing, then the beer must be unworthy, that it does not cheer the singer, does not move the merry minstrel. that the golden guests are joyless, and the cuckoo is not singing. Never will these benches echo till the bench guests chant thy virtues, nor the floor resound thy praises till the floor guests sing in concord, nor the windows join the chorus till the window guests have spoken. All the tables will keep silence till the heroes toast thy virtues. Little singing from the chimney till the chimney guests have chanted. On the floor a child was sitting, thus the little boy made answer. I am small and young in singing, have perchance but little wisdom, be that as it may, my seniors, since the elder minstrels sing not, nor the heroes chant their legends, nor the hostess lead the singing, I will sing my simple stories, sing my little store of knowledge, to the pleasure of the evening, to the joy of the invited. Near the fire reclined an old man, and the greybeard thus made answer. Not the time for children's singing. Children's wisdom is too ready, children's songs are filled with trifles, filled with shrewd and vain deceptions. Maiden songs are full of follies. Leave the songs and incantations to the ancient wizard singers. Leave the tales of times primeval to the minstrel of Wainola, to the hero of the Northland, to the ancient Wainamoinen. Thereupon Osmoinen answered, Are there not some sweeter singers in this honored congregation, that will clasp their hands together, sing the ancient songs unbroken, thus begin the incantations, make these ancient halls re-echo, for the pleasure of the evening, for the joy of the ingathered? From the hearthstone spake the greybeard, not a singer of Pohjola, not a minstrel nor magician, that was better skilled in chanting legends of the days departed, than was I when I was singing, in my years of vain ambition. Then I chanted tales of heroes on the blue back of the waters, sang the ballads of my people in the vales and on the mountains, through the verdant fields and forests. Sweet my voice and skilled my singing. All my songs were highly lauded, rippled like the quiet rivers, easy flowing like the waters, easy gliding as the snowshoes, like the ship upon the ocean. Woe is me, my days are ended, would not recognize my singing, all its sweetness gone to others, flows no more like rippling waters, makes no more the hills re-echo. Now my songs are full of discord, like the rake upon the stubble, like the sledge upon the gravel, like the boat upon the seashore. Then the ancient Wainamoinen spake these words in magic measures. Since no other bard appeareth, that will clasp my hand in singing, I will sing some simple legends, sing my garnered store of wisdom, make these magic halls re-echo with my tales of ancient story. Since a bard I was created, born an orator and singer, do not ask the way of others, follow not the path of strangers. Wainamoinen, famous minstrel, songs eternal, wise supporter, then began the songs of pleasure, made the halls resound with joyance, filled the rooms with wondrous singing, sang the ancient bard magician, all the oldest wisdom sayings, did not fail in voice nor legends, all the wisest thoughts remembered. Thus the ancient Wainamoinen sang the joy of all assembled, to the pleasure of the evening, to the merriment of maidens, to the happiness of heroes. All the guests were stilled in wonder, at the magic of his singing, at the songs of the magician. Spake again wise Wainamoinen, when his wonder tales had ended. I have little worth or power, am a bard of little value, little consequence my singing, mine abilities as nothing, if but Ukko, my creator, should intone his wisdom sayings, sing the source of good and evil, sing the origin of matter, sing the legends of omniscience, sing his songs in full perfection. God could sing the floods to honey, sing the sands to ruddy berries, sing the pebbles into barley, sing to beer the running waters, sing to salt the rocks of ocean, into cornfields sing the forests, into gold the forest fruitage, sing to bread the hills and mountains, sing to eggs the rounded sandstones. He could touch the springs of magic, he could turn the keys of nature, and produce within thy pastures hurdles filled with sheep and reindeer, stables filled with fleet-foot stallions, kine in every field and fallow, sing a fur robe for the bridegroom, for the bride a coat of ermine, for the hostess shoes of silver, for the hero mail of copper. Grant, O Ukko, my creator, God of love and truth and justice, grant thy blessing on our feasting. Bless this company assembled, for the good of Sariola, for the happiness of Northland. May this bread and beer bring joyance, may they come in rich abundance, may they carry full contentment to the people of Pohjola, to the cabin and the mansion. May the hours we spend in singing, in the morning, in the evening, fill our hearts with joy and gladness. Hear us in our supplications, grant to us thy needed blessings, send enjoyment, health, and comfort to the people here assembled, to the host and to the hostess, to the bride and to the bridegroom, to the sons upon the waters, to the daughters at their weavings, to the hunters on the mountains, to the shepherds in the fenlands, that our lives may end in honor, that we may recall with pleasure Ilmarinen's magic marriage to the maiden of the rainbow, Snow-White Virgin of the Northland. End of Rune 21. Recording by Sonia.
Rune 22 of the Kalevia. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Kalevia, compiled by Elias Lönnrot. Translated by John Martin Crawford. Rune 22. The Bride's Farewell. When the marriage was completed, when the many guests had feasted, at the wedding of the Northland, at the dismal land carousal, spake the hostess of Pohjola to the blacksmith Ilmarinen. Wherefore, bridegroom, dost thou linger? Why art waiting, Northland hero? Sittest for the father's pleasure, for affection of the mother, for the splendor of the maidens, for the beauty of the daughter? Noble son-in-law and brother, wait thou longer, having waited long already for the virgin, thine affianced is not ready. Not prepared thy life companion, only are her tresses braided. Chosen bridegroom, pride of Pohja, wait thou longer, having waited long already for the virgin, thy beloved is preparing, only is one hand made ready. Famous artist Ilmarinen, wait still longer, having waited long already for the virgin, thy beloved is not ready, only is one foot in fur shoes. Spake again the ancient Louis, chosen suitor of my daughter, thou hast thrice in kindness waited, wait no longer for the virgin, thy beloved now is ready, well prepared thy life companion, fairy maiden of the rainbow. Beauteous daughter, join thy suitor, follow him thy chosen husband, very near is the uniting, near indeed thy separation. At thy hand the honored bridegroom, near the door he waits to lead thee, guide thee to his home and kindred, at the gate his steed is waiting, restless champs his silver bridle, and the sledge awaits thy presence. Thou wert anxious for a suitor, ready to accept his offer, wert in haste to take his jewels, place his rings upon thy fingers. Now, fair daughter, keep thy promise, to his sledge with happy footsteps, hie in haste to join the bridegroom, gaily journey to the village with thy chosen life companion, with thy suitor Ilmarinen. Little hast thou looked about thee, hast not raised thine eyes above thee, beauteous maiden of the Northland, hast thou made a rueful bargain, full of waiting thine engagement, and thy marriage full of sorrow, that thy father's ancient cottage thou art leaving now forever, leaving also friends and kindred, for the blacksmith Ilmarinen? Oh, how beautiful thy childhood in thy father's dwelling places, nurtured like a tender flower, like the strawberry in springtime, soft thy couch and sweet thy slumber, warm thy fires and rich thy table. From the fields came corn in plenty, from the highlands milk and berries, wheat and barley in abundance, fish and fowl and hare and bacon, from thy father's fields and forests. Never wert thou child in sorrow, never hadst thou grief nor trouble, all thy cares were left to fir trees, all thy worry to the copses. All thy weeping to the willows, all thy sighing to the lindens, all thy thinking to the aspens, and the birches on the mountains, light and airy as the leaflet, as a butterfly in summer, ready as a mountain berry, beautiful as vernal flowers. Now thou leavest home and kindred, wanderest to other firesides, goest to another mother, other sisters, other brothers, goest to a second father, to the servant folk of strangers, from thy native hills and lowlands. There and here the homes will differ, happier thy mother's hearthstone, other horns will there be sounded, other portals there swing open, other hinges there be creaking. There the doors thou canst not enter like the daughters of Wainola, canst not tend the fires and ovens, as will please the minds of strangers. Didst thou think, my fairest maiden, thou couldst wed and on the morrow couldst return, if thou shouldst wish it, to thy father's court and dwelling? Not for 1, nor 2, nor 3 days wilt thou leave thy mother's chambers, leave thy sisters and thy brothers, leave thy father's hills and lowlands. Long the time the wife must wander, many months and years must wander, work and struggle all her life long, even though the mother liveth. Great indeed must be the changes when thou comest back to Pohja, changed thy friends and nearest kindred, changed thy father's ancient dwellings, changed the valleys and the mountains, other birds will sing thy praises. When the mother thus had spoken, then the daughter spake, departing. In my early days of childhood often I intoned these measures. Art a virgin, yet no virgin, guided by an aged mother, in a brother's fields and forests, in the mansion of a father? Only wilt become a virgin, only when thou hast a suitor, only when thou wouldst a hero, one foot on the father's threshold, and the other for the snow sledge that will speed thee and thy husband to his native vales and highlands. I have wished thus many summers, sang it often in my childhood, hoped for this as for the flowers, welcome as the birds of springtime. Thus fulfilled are all my wishes, very near is my departure, one foot on my father's threshold, and the other for the journey with my husband to his people. Cannot understand the reason that has changed my former feelings, cannot leave thee now with gladness, cannot go with great rejoicing from my dear old home and kindred, where as maiden I have lingered, from the courts where I was nurtured, from my father's hand and guidance, from my faithful mother's counsel. Now I go, a maid of sorrow, heavy-hearted to the bridegroom, like the bride of night in winter, like the ice upon the rivers. Such is not the mind of others, other brides of Northland heroes. Others do not leave unhappy, have no tears, nor cares, nor sorrows. I, alas, must weep and murmur, carry to my grave great sadness, heart as dark as death's black river. Such the feelings of the happy, such the minds of merry maidens. Like the early dawn of springtime, like the rising sun in summer, no such radiance awaits me, with my young heart filled with terror. Happiness is not my portion, like the flat shore of the ocean, like the dark rift of the storm cloud, like the cheerless nights of winter. Dreary is the day in autumn, dreary too the autumn evening. Still more dreary is my future. An industrious old maiden, ever guarding home and kindred, spake these words of doubtful comfort. Dost thou, beauteous bride, remember? Canst thou not recall my counsels? These the words that I have taught thee. Look not joyfully for suitors, never heed the tongues of wooers. Look not in the eyes of charmers, at their feet let fall thy vision. He that hath a mouth for sweetness, he that hath an eye for beauty, offers little that will comfort. Lempo sits upon his forehead, in his mouth dwells dire Tuoni. Thus, fair bride, did I advise thee, thus advised my sister's daughter. Should there come the best of suitors, noblest wooers, proudest lovers, give to all these wisdom sayings. Let thine answer be as follows. Never will I think it wisdom, never will it be my pleasure to become a second daughter, linger with my husband's mother. Never shall I leave my father, never wander forth to bondage at the bidding of a bridegroom. Never shall I be a servant, wife and slave to any hero, never will I be submissive to the orders of a husband. Fairest bride, thou didst not heed me, gavest no thought to my advices, didst not listen to my counsel. Wittingly thy feet have wandered into boiling tar and water, hastened to thy suitor's snow sledge, to the bear dens of thy husband. On his sledge to be ill-treated, carried to his native country, to the bondage of his people, there a subject to his mother. Thou hast left thy mother's dwelling to the schooling of the master. Hard indeed the master's teachings, little else than constant torture. Ready for thee are his bridles, ready for thy bands the shackles, were not forged for any other. Soon indeed thou'lt feel the hardness, feel the weight of thy misfortune, feel thy second father's censure, and his wife's inhuman treatment, hear the cold words of thy brother, quail before thy haughty sister. Listen, bride, to what I tell thee. In thy home thou wert a jewel, wert thy father's pride and pleasure. Moonlight did thy father call thee, and thy mother called thee sunshine. Sea foam did thy brother call thee, and thy sister called thee flower. When thou leavest home and kindred, goest to a second mother, often she will give thee censure, never treat thee as her daughter. Rarely will she give thee counsel, never will she sound thy praises. Brushwood will the father call thee, sledge of rags thy husband's mother, flight of stairs thy stranger brother. Scarecrow will the sister call thee. Sister of thy blacksmith husband, then wilt think of my good counsels, then wilt wish in tears and murmurs, that as steam thou hadst descended, that as smoke thy soul had risen, that as sparks thy life had vanished. As a bird thou canst not wander from thy nest to circle homeward, canst not fall and die like leaflets, as the sparks thou canst not perish, like the smoke thou canst not vanish. Youthful bride and darling sister, thou hast bartered all thy friendships, hast exchanged thy loving father, thou hast left thy faithful mother, for the mother of thy husband, hast exchanged thy loving brother, hast renounced thy gentle sister, for the kindred of thy suitor, hast exchanged thy snow-white covers for the rocky couch of sorrow, hast exchanged these crystal waters for the waters of Wainola, hast renounced these sandy seashores for the muddy banks of Kalu. Northland glens thou hast forsaken for thy husband's barren meadows. Thou hast left thy berry mountains for the stubble fields and deserts. Thou, O maiden, hast been thinking thou wouldst happy be in wedlock. Neither work nor care nor sorrow from this night would be thy portion, with thy husband for protection. Not to sleep art thou conducted, not to happiness nor joyance, wakefulness thy night companion, and thy day attendant trouble. Often thou wilt drink of sorrow, often long for vanished pleasures. When at home thou hadst no headgear, thou hadst also little sadness. When thy couch was not of linen, no unhappiness came nigh thee. Headgear brings but pain and sorrow, linen breeds bad dispositions, linen brings but deeps of anguish, and the flax untimely mourning. Happy in her home the maiden, happy at her father's fireside, like the master in his mansion, happy with her bows and arrows. 'Tis not thus with married women, brides of heroes may be likened to the prisoners of Moskva, held in bondage by their masters. As a wife must weep and labor, carry trouble on both shoulders. When the next hour passes over, thou must tend the fire and oven, must prepare thy husband's dinner, must direct thy master's servants. When thine evening meal is ready, thou must search for hidden wisdom in the brain of perch and salmon, in the mouths of ocean whiting. Gather wisdom from the cuckoo, canst not learn it from thy mother, mother dear of 7 daughters, cannot find among her treasures where were born the human instincts, where were born the minds of heroes, whence arose the maiden's beauty, whence the beauty of her tresses, why all life revives in springtime. Weep, oh weep, my pretty young bride, when thou weepest, weep sincerely, weep great rivers from thine eyelids, floods of tears in field and fallow, lakelets in thy father's dwelling. Weep thy rooms to overflowing, shed thy tears in great abundance, lest thou weepest on returning to thy native hills and valleys, when thou visitest thy father in the smoke of waning glory, on his arm a withered tassel. Weep, oh weep, my lovely maiden, when thou weepest, weep in earnest, weep great rivers from thine eyelids. If thou dost not weep sincerely, thou wilt weep on thy returning to thy Northland home and kindred, when thou visitest thy mother, old and breathless near the hurdles, in her arms a barley bundle. Weep, oh weep, sweet bride of beauty, when thou weepest, weep profusely. If thou dost not weep in earnest, thou wilt weep on thy returning to thy native vales and highlands, when thou visitest thy brother, lying wounded by the wayside, in his hand but empty honors. Weep, oh weep, my sister's daughter, weep great rivers from thine eyelids. If thou dost not weep sufficient, thou wilt weep on thy returning to the scenes of happy childhood, when thou visitest thy sister, lying prostrate in the meadow, in her hand a birchwood mallet. When the ancient maid had ended, then the young bride sighed in anguish, straightway fell to bitter weeping, spake these words in deeps of sorrow. O ye sisters, my beloved, ye companions of my childhood, playmates of my early summers, listen to your sister's counsel. Cannot comprehend the reason why my mind is so dejected, why this weariness and sadness, this untold and unseen torture. Cannot understand the meaning of this mighty weight of sorrow. Differently I had thought it, I had hoped for greater pleasures, I had hoped to sing as cuckoos on the hilltops call and echo, when I had attained this station, reached at last the goal expectant. But I am not like the cuckoo singing merry on the hilltops. I am like the songless blue duck, as she swims upon the waters, swims upon the cold, cold ocean, icicles upon her pinions. Ancient father, gray-haired mother, whither do ye wish to lead me? Whither take this bride thy daughter, that this sorrow may pass over, where this heavy heart may lighten, where this grief may turn to gladness? Better it had been, O mother, hadst thou nursed a block of birchwood, hadst thou clothed the colored sandstone, rather than this hapless maiden, for the fullness of these sorrows, for this keen and killing trouble. Many sympathizers tell me, "Foolish bride, thou art ungrateful. Do not grieve, thou child of sorrow, thou hast little cause for weeping." Oh, deceive me not, my people, do not argue with me falsely, for alas, I have more troubles than the waterfalls have pebbles, than the Ingerland has willows, than the Suomi hills have berries. Never could the Pohja plough horse pull this mighty weight of sorrow, shaking not his birchen crossbar, breaking not his heavy collar. Never could the Northland reindeer, heavy shod and stoutly harnessed, draw this load of care and trouble. By the stove a babe was playing, and the young child spake as follows: "Why, O fair bride, art thou weeping? Why these tears of pain and sadness? Leave thy troubles to the elk herds, and thy grief to sable fillies. Let the steeds of iron bridles bear the burden of thine anguish. Horses have much larger foreheads, larger shoulders, stronger sinews, and their necks are made for labor. Stronger are their bones and muscles. Let them bear thy heavy burdens. There is little good in weeping, useless are thy tears of sorrow. Art not led to swamps and lowlands, nor to banks of little rivers. Thou art led to fields of flowers, led to fruitful trees and forests, led away from beer of Pohja to the sweeter mead of _kәÄle. At thy shoulder waits thy husband, on thy right side Ilmarinen, constant friend and life protector, he will guard thee from all evil. Husband ready, steed in waiting, gold and silver mounted harness, hazel birds that sing and flutter on the courser's yoke and crossbar. Thrushes also sing and twitter merrily on hame and collar. 7 bluebirds, 7 cuckoos sing thy wedding march in Concord. Be no longer full of sorrow, dry thy tears, thou bride of beauty, thou hast found a noble husband, better wilt thou fare than ever by the side of Ilmarinen, artist husband, medal master, bread provider of thy table. On the arm of the fish catcher, on the breast of the elk hunter, by the side of the bear killer, thou hast won the best of suitors, hast obtained a mighty hero. Never idle is his crossbow, on the nails his quivers hang not, neither are his dogs in kennel, active agents is his hunting. Thrice within the budding springtime, in the early hours of morning, he arises from his fair couch, from his slumber in the brushwood. Thrice within the sowing season, on his eyes the deer has fallen, and the branches brushed his vesture, and his locks been combed by fir boughs. Hasten homeward with thy husband, where thy hero's friends await thee, where his forests sing thy welcome. Ilmarinen there possesses all the birds that fly in midair, all the beasts that haunt the woodlands, all that feed upon the mountains, all that graze on hill and valley, sheep and cattle by the thousands. Sweet the grass upon his meadows, sweet the barley in his uplands, in the lowlands corn abundant, wheat upon the elmwood fallows. Near the streamlets rye is waving, waving grain on many acres. On his mountains gold and silver, rich his mines of shining copper, highlands filled with magic metals, chests of jewels in his storehouse, all the wealth of Kalevala. End of Rune 22. Recording by Jen Raimundo.